So Liz, thanks for taking the time in your morning to come on and do this interview with me.
Hmm.
For people that are watching, Liz is an amazing human being who I find very inspiring, and she's one of our black belts and professional fighters at American Top Team Portland. Is there anything else you want to say about yourself, Liz, for anyone who watches this interview?
I don't think so. No,
Intro.
I mean, you
Sums it
made,
up.
you made me blush. So, yeah.
Yeah, right on. So, man, it's cold here.
Oh, in Portland, I know. I just got back from Florida, so it's like a big difference.
I know I was gonna say I've been on the Big Island for whatever 6 weeks, and you just got back from Florida. I'm like, geez. Yeah. So cool. So how was Florida? How was the trip?
The trip was super awesome. It really helped me see like where I'm at in the competitive field. I was able to practice with some of the females down there, which is really cool because we don't have that many females right now at ATT. I'm working on it, but they're already established. Like at one point in time, there was more women in the gym than men,
Wow,
and so I was like, oh dang,
amazing.
yeah, it
That's
was like
cool.
super awesome to see that, and also see all the different like coaching styles. That was really cool. Jordan brought me to one of Dean Thomas is like really great MMA coach, and he put some things together for me because right now it's like there's a battle between jujitsu in MMA and MMA jujitsu. So it's like an evolution that's happening, and I believe that Eddie Bravo is trying to like push the evolution with combat jujitsu. He's like trying to like press fast forward on it, and I got some really good insight into it because I love that combat jujitsu. I just like love it. It feels
Nice.
right, it feels good. So I want to continue to do it, but I want to like be progressing as the sport progresses. I believe that MMA is changing in wonderful ways into making it its own thing. And so
Right.
yeah, I'm excited. I got excited watching the coaching. I got excited, being able to practice with the women. I got excited meeting, kind of like starstruck. There's a lot of really famous people that I consider famous. I mean, not everybody knows the MMA world, and so I'm starstruck, and I'm seeing all these fighters that I've watched since I was in junior high school that are still doing the sport today that I watched when they were, like when they inspired me.
Yeah.
So it was like, it was so cool. It was just,
I feel like you're on the same level as them.
yeah, I do, which
Yeah.
is super encouraging. I feel like the trip kind of like made me or like helped me fill my boots or something. I mean, like I felt like with getting my black belt so recently, I felt like big shoes. And I was like, am I even ready for these shoes? Like, and then going down there and experience everything, I was like, yeah, I'm ready for these shoes. So
Well, yeah, you went to the finals at Worlds.
yeah, yep, I did.
See?
And I want to be first. Like I believe that I learned what I needed to learn in that it it between now and then, like because you don't really lose unless you don't like progress or change.
Right.
So I feel like I learned a lot in that loss of getting second place, that I want to do it again. I want to
Yeah.
try to do it again and fix the things that I have. I have a lot of like homework and drills and things like that I just what didn't focus on really, like I didn't really focus on the MMA drills of the sport. I just kind of like focus, okay, these are jujitsu drills. We're going to do jujitsu. Now there's ground and pound. So it's like two different things, but there's like this MMA jujitsu that's like in between that is contradictory to jujitsu in itself because in jujitsu, you focus one part of your body on the other person's part of their body. You can't distribute yourself too far, or else you're not going to have control, so we, as jiu-jitsu practitioners, we focus so much on that. Oh, okay, so I want the arm, so I'm going to bind this, and then like go up this way. Or if you're trying to pass, you're focused right on the like hips first, or upper body, or hips, or upper body. It's not like in between at all. And MMA, there's strikes, and so you have to be like benefiting yourself in the in between. So that means like body posturing, where your head is, just places that you wouldn't typically put yourself in normal jiu-jitsu.
Right. Well, I see a lot of people even like say preferring to be in half guard on top rather than even like side control to control the fight, right? And to get
100%,
strikes.
100%. It's like you go and you pass the guard, and then you're like, nope, go back into side, like that. And so it's like it's way different. It's really
Yeah.
it's and then seeing all the benefits of keeping that leg in half guard, and
Right.
just seeing everything work, seeing it work as the MMA and not as jiu-jitsu. And you're like, that shouldn't work. That should not work, but it is. And then you try it, and you're like, this is working.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah.
Like pride.
Yeah. The differences, yeah. Yeah, so to back it up a little bit, you got second place at Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds. That's so rad.
I just got a message from my friend this morning, who I haven't seen since high school, and she was like, I just started jiu-jitsu, and I watched Combat Jiu-Jitsu, and I noticed you. I was like, I know that girl. And so I was like, oh, dang.
That's so rad. And yeah, your first time out, right? Learned a ton, and you're just right there ready to go back at it, right? You could do that for a bunch more years going forward.
Yeah. It was so much fun.
That's so cool.
Eddie Bravo is really taking care of his athletes too, which is, it makes you want to compete for the promotion. So I am really eager to go back.
I know, I feel that way too. I haven't obviously competed on that level, but in what I have competed in like Submission Underground, or even other bigger local tournaments, the guys that take good care of the competitors, the guys that run a really like smooth tournament, or super considerate of people in the community, those are the people I go and want to compete for. So yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome that he's taking good care of the athletes.
Yeah. I think it was suggested, I think before they had the athletes staying in like a not so good hotel or something like that, but they ended up putting us at the resort with the like the referees or officials, and and I had a blast. I couldn't believe it when I got there. I was like, oh my gosh, it was so amazing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what do you see? What is your main? So now you've had this experience at Combat Worlds. You went to Florida and kind of got to have this shift and contrast for yourself and perspective. What is your main focus going to be now?
MMA, I got fire lit when I went down to Florida, because it let me see that I'm there. Like I am there and I can be there. I believe that I've kind of been in a shadow because I'm more afraid of showing my light than not. And so it's been a battle within myself to really accept, oh, you are great, you can do this, you can get there, so let's move there, let's push forward, let's go there. It's really encouraged me to focus on MMA as a sport, that in between of what is MMA, what is jujitsu in MMA, which really should just be MMA, right? If we were to write a book of MMA, right? I don't know what it would be called, the jujitsu part of MMA, and specifically MMA jujitsu. I don't know what it would be called, because it's so different. So that's kind of where my brain is at right now, is I feel like there's this puzzle or a problem that needs to be solved, or education that could be learned. Knowledge is power. So I really am like wanting to dig into that, wanting to test everything, write everything down, test it, like scientific hypothesis, like we're figuring it out, so that I can get an edge on the MMA world. And that includes combat jiu-jitsu too. It's not just in the MMA. So now I get to be excited about potentially competing in combat jiu-jitsu and in MMA at the same time, instead of being so focused on jiu-jitsu, because I can always do jiu-jitsu tournaments. And then there's MMA. And then I'm like struggling to find a balance between the MMA and between the jiu-jitsu, because I enjoy both of them so much, and I have so many goals that could be under any of them. So right now I just is kind of going over all my notes from Florida, with seeing the coaching, seeing all the knowledge, and testing it out now. So now is like a testing phase, and not being afraid to use it. I've got sparring today, so I'm really excited to test it, and just
Nice.
keep going at it until I find my answers. I find my power. I believe it's really important. People are stepping up their game in MMA with their footwork, with stand up. Like that's really important. In the boxing world, the boxing world is trying to figure out boxing for MMA, stand up for MMA right now. Like, so, and they're big tasks. It's not something simple. It's trial and error and trial and error and trial and error. And then everything's constantly evolving because people are learning. And so I think that there's more focus in the boxing for MMA or stand up for MMA right now than there is for the jiu-jitsu, because people think that jiu-jitsu, you go to the ground, it's just jiu-jitsu. You have jiu-jitsu and ground and pound, and that's like it. And that's not the case. They come together. So I'd like to get a goal. Like I'd like to get on a card so that I can like have that goal to compete again. But I don't have anything right now, but it's not going to discourage me from learning. So
yeah, it could happen, right? You could get a call at any time, right?
Just have to be ready. I mean, that's the nature of the sport of competing in athletics. I think is you have to be ready. Your body is your tool, and so you just have to always be ready. Just like, if we're going to have a meeting, I need my phone and maybe a pen and a piece of paper, and that's easy. And that's, I'm always ready. So it's just making sure that your body is always ready. Your body is always recovered. Your body is always ready to cut that weight and perform at the top level. I just got done. I like tore my hamstring slightly. And I had to take a week off, and two or three of the days of my week off were in Florida. So I like didn't get to like fully immerse because I was injured, because I haven't been doing deadlifts, and I haven't been walking. 2 weeks ago, or it's 3 now, I lost my last dog job, and that was giving me like 15 miles of walking a week extra. And so I stopped walking, and then I wasn't really doing, I did like front squats and back squats because I figured we would start doing deadlifts when we started. But obviously I needed to do some sort of maintenance because I injured myself. I injured myself just not having those routine things. It wasn't anything like in particular that I strained. It was just the sudden change. And so it's better now, but I'm like still like careful with it. And I dropped some weight. I dropped 10 pounds so that I could compete at 115 instead of 125. And that's also a big difference for me because I'm smaller now. Like I wasn't at 125. I was walking at like 138. And so I wasn't quite the smallest person in the room, but now I'm definitely the smallest person in the room. And that is hard. It's hard, not just physically, but mentally too, because I've always tried to be like bigger. Like I always want to be bigger. I always want that extra weight, and dropping that 10 pounds really pushes me out of the being able to muscle, being able to press back on somebody that's stronger than me. Cause I press back and I'm just
Right.
like, don't have that extra weight behind me. And so I slide back instead of holding my ground, and that like gets in here a bit, but I think it's a good move for me. I think 115 is great. I also think I wasn't able to really be committed to getting down there. I was force feeding myself a lot, trying to like maintain that healthy weight. I think that our last session really like helped me be able to feel safe again, be okay with being a smaller being, like having a smaller
Sure.
physical presence on earth, because I felt mentally bigger, like I felt more safe. And so I was like, oh, I can just lose this weight, and so I just ate when I was hungry and just stayed healthy and trained normal, and I just lost the weight, and that's just kind of like where I should be right now. So that
Nice.
was
So it feels natural.
mhm.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, that's one of the things I was going to lead into. You kind of led into it there. Um, I do the mental coaching sessions, or I do the methodology that I do in that work is called accelerated evolution. So we did an accelerated evolution session, and I'm curious if you could share, and obviously share whatever details you feel comfortable with, but just share what are the main benefits you got out of doing that last session we did.
The main benefits I got were extreme. So it's kind of like hard to pinpoint anything in particular because it was so drastic. I went in, we've had a couple of sessions, just two. And the first session really helped me push away feelings, like detach my thoughts from my emotions to a good point to where I could like function without crying, like,
Hmm.
and that was really important to me. And you were able to understand that that's what I needed as well. And then our second session was more like for me about being able to move past being able to move past the events, which ended up being going more into my childhood, more into my past, understanding like abuse, and that was what was hurting me, just like the overall abuse that I've been through. And I associated that abuse with like hate, I think. And I didn't understand why I was hated, like that's what impacted me the most, because people don't,
Wow.
like people don't do stuff to you unless they hate you, like how could you abuse someone unless they hate you? And so we went through a series of me recognize, me internally, that was like my recognizing that. And then like we're going through, and then me realizing that they didn't hate me, they hate themselves, and that has nothing to do with me. and,
Yeah.
and that was like huge. And then on
Wow.
top of that, I felt like I really didn't want to accept that there's good and bad, especially within myself. And I know that there is, but we always want to think better of ourselves or better of humanity, or to some extent, better of the people around us. And the fact is that there is good and bad in the world. No matter how much people want to try and say that there's only good, there is bad. And as much as people want to say that there should only be good, there has to be bad. There has to be the bad, because without the bad, we don't see the how good the good can be. And that was another part of being okay with the yin and yang, being okay with that, accepting that. And it really just blew my mind. It opened up my, I don't even know how to explain it, like the difference between my physicality and my mental processes. I was able to just really see, uh, maybe it's forgiveness, maybe see that, or see that there's good and bad, and that I can strive to be who I am. I can't change anybody else. And I can just be better for myself. And the people around me are going to suffer in the ways that they suffer because that's their life, and I don't have to be a part of that. And so yeah, it was just like a really incredible, freeing session. It was like I could fly again or something, like it was really cool.
What do you feel like that just does for your life going forward? Being able to feel that freedom and that acceptance and forgiveness.
For me, the forgiveness was huge because I'm going through like court. Like I'm in court for 4 charges because of the abuse, because it was so bad. And so for me to walk around trying to remember, trying to just not forget about what happened to me so that I can um, recreate that in court was torturing me. It was torture
Wow. Yeah.
because I had to remember those things. I had and the thought of the memories, emotions were attached to them. Emotions were attached to them because I didn't want to forget, because it was important for me to illustrate that in court, because I wanted that person to be punished. I wanted that person to pay for what they did to me. And our session helped me completely just be like, yo, it's not my job. It's not my job to remember. It's not my job to punish. Nothing is my job. That will happen when it's ready. They will get their own punishment. I don't do that. I don't punish. There's nothing I can do to change the outcome of what's going to happen. It's just is what it is. And I can do my, like my best to illustrate the things that I can remember, but I'm just not attached to it anymore, which is like an extremely freeing feeling, to be able to forget, like just forget. And then, yeah, I'll never actually forget. It's there, but now I have no real um investment in that trauma anymore, and really no investment in the pain, no investment in the punishment. So I get to live in the light. I get to live in the light and not have to subject myself to remembering all these terrible things, which changed my life. So I mean, like it brought me happiness, it brought me freedom, it brought me light, it brought me love, like so much love, just being able to like give again, like just put myself out there and impact my community in a healthy way. And then doors just started opening up for me. I got like a coaching opportunity, and I got to go to Florida, and just one thing after the next. I had CJJ, then I got my black belt. It was just like, yeah. So it was incredible.
That's powerful. Thanks for sharing that, Liz. And, it's because of your willingness. I just feel like you're someone who's so willing and dedicated to your path. I think because of that, that's what allowed you to really go into those challenging emotions, those challenging feelings, and really seek. It's like, I don't know how, sort of that thought of, I don't know how to get more freedom around this, but I'm going to figure it out. Right. And you're going to take the steps. You're going to, go do a session here, go talk to someone here, and you did it. And I love hearing that. That's like, that's the most fulfilling feedback possible for me. Like that's why I do this work and why I support other people doing this work, because that's what it's all about. And it's not about pushing away the emotions. It's about you actually, in a structured way, going into it, feeling it fully, which allows it to clear. So you don't have to carry, that weight anymore. And so, yeah, that's amazing to hear. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
How do you feel like that impacted your competing?
So I believe that I I was really afraid of being great. I wanted to stay kind of like hidden, because I didn't want to show what I knew, because I didn't want the spotlight, because I was afraid. I was afraid of people seeing me that I didn't want to see me, and I was afraid of progression. I didn't want to move forward and I think just because I was afraid of people seeing me that I didn't want to see me, primarily, like the the abuser, like I didn't want them or anybody that knew them to see how great I was, because I was afraid.
Wow.
And that session that we had, like, gave me that freedom, and it gave me permission to allow myself to be as great as I want to be, show people everything that I have and everything that I want to be, unapologetically. That's just who I am, and that this is where we're going, type of thing. And I believe that it allowed me to really reach inside myself, especially like the session before combat jujitsu. I've never competed like that in my life before. And I believe that a lot of that has to do with not just like my more recent experience with abuse, but growing up with abuse. I believe that stifled it dampened my competitive ability, because I felt like I wasn't good enough. I felt like I felt like the abuse came from hate and people hated me. And that's not the case. Like, that's not my hate.
Yeah.
And so it was like really, really impactful and incredible to feel that feeling of freedom while I'm competing, like to be like, I was so happy, like I am, like I was so happy to just go out there and compete. And most of the time I am really happy to compete, but I'm more afraid to win than anything, like I'm more afraid
Isn't
to,
that fascinating?
yeah.
Man,
and
powerful
so
to recognize. Yeah.
and so that was like, it was really cool to just go out there with a new sense of like self, a new sense of freedom, a new sense of drive and passion, and really opened myself up to feeling like I was in the right place, not like it wasn't my time. I struggle with that. I struggle with everyone I compete against. I feel like it's their time, and I'm a
Mm.
gatekeeper. It's their time, and I'm just
Wow.
here to help them be great. And I've seen that. I've seen it in all of my competitions. Like getting fight of the night after fight of the night after fight of the night, and really just being a person to put on a show, so I match my opponents with an intensity that it's their time, not mine. And I was really able to go there in my last competition, to a place where it was my time, and feel that, and understand that. And it's a new feeling, like being it that felt a little crazy. I was like, whoa. Like,
What's your so tell me now, what's your new narrative?
what do you mean? Like my
So
internal
before your internal, you're kind of reflecting on how essentially your previous internal narrative was, it's their time and I'm a gatekeeper here to put on a show and it's their time. What's your new narrative?
I am great, and it's my time. I want to show people my greatness. I want to show people how hard I've worked. Um, Impossible is nothing. Just confidence, more confidence instead of feeling confident about my athletic ability. I'm confident in myself and my athletic ability, and my thoughts, in my processes with problem solving. I just feel like it's my time, and this is meant to be. I just keep seeing signs, or like omens, or whatever you want to say. Maybe they're just patterns, or maybe I just see them because I want to see them, or whatever, but they're there, and they're pretty incredible. And just to see it keep continually point me in the right direction is nuts, is crazy for me to have just experience after experience that is not controlled by us at all whatsoever, and have it point me in the same direction every time. And it just makes me feel like this is right. Like, this is everything I'm doing, every step I take, every push forward is the right direction, opposed to me kind of like not sure what, like, is this right? Like, you put your foot in the pool to test the water, and you're like, oh, that's kind of cold. Or, like, maybe the lights are off, and like, you're moving or putting your foot in front of you to find what's there, or your hand in front of you to find what's there. And that feeling that you feel when you're looking and you're not sure in the dark, has gone away. Now it feels just like, not that it doesn't matter that I can't see, but almost that it's meant to be. It just keep stepping forward, and it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I definitely believe all those, when we experience those kinds of omens, or those synchronicities, or those
Mm-hmm.
communications, those are real. Those are very real. And when you have the awareness of them, that's when I'll speak for myself. That's when I feel alive. That's when I'm in the zone. That's when I'm in that hell yes space, and things are humming and things are flowing. And then we stay in that practice to stay in that communication, to stay in that relationship with life. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's a dance that we can stay in and we can flow with. And I remember watching you when you competed on combat jiu-jitsu worlds, and I was like, damn, she is in the zone. Like, it was just like power and flow. It was just like, and you could just see it in your face. You can see it in someone's face when they're in the zone, and I really saw that in you. That was really cool.
It was
And
it was completely different for me. That was not something I've ever been able to really get into. So
so cool. What would you say to other people who are just starting out on their either MMA or jiu-jitsu path, or both? Um, what would you say to people who are just starting out on their MMA or jiu-jitsu path, and they really want to compete? Like,
uh,
what's some insights or wisdom you'd send back to them?
um don't give up. I mean, if you're just starting on your jiu-jitsu or MMA path, it's a long road, and competition is the best way to learn. Honestly, I would recommend competing as soon as you possibly can. Of course, against people that are your level, like are white belts competing with white belts, and your MMA experience is your MMA experience. But competition is the fastest way to progression, I believe, because you're testing yourself. It's real. Is this real? Is it going to work in the wild against someone that doesn't know? It's hard in the gym. You get discouraged in the gym because people learn your game. People are there learning the same thing you're learning if you're taking classes, and they're going to try and use the same things on you. And then when you try and use that on them, they're going to know what you're doing because you just learned that together. So it can be semi discouraging for people in MMA and jiu-jitsu to be practicing in the gym and think that they're getting better. You have to be doing more. You have to be doing more, drilling more, learning more if you want to be better than the people in your gym. If you just want to progress and learn, you do your gym stuff and then you go and compete and you level up. Every time you compete, you level up. Every time you do something outside of what's required of you, you level up. And
Yeah.
that's just the nature of, I think, everything, but mainly in jiu-jitsu and MMA, it can be discouraging and it can be hard and it can be sad. When I was first starting MMA, I cried when I was learning stand up. I cried every day
Dang.
after practice.
Wow.
Just is this the right thing for me? My everything hurts. People hate me. They don't like, just like negativity, just crying and crying and crying. And then you get over it eventually, but it's not easy. Nothing that is
Wow.
worth having is easy, right? I mean, that's the biggest thing for me is compete. You learn, you level up so fast. If you lose, win or lose, you learn so much. You learn more if you lose, but there's also a great capacity to learn from winning as well. Making sure that you have good competition to test yourself, continually testing yourself
Yeah.
is a is my thought process for if you're just starting MMA or jiu-jitsu. It's not going to be easy. Some days you're the hammer, some days you're the nail. That's something that I tell myself all the time still to this day. Sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail. Sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail. On those days that I'm just not feeling so good, maybe got
Yeah.
smashed, I'm like, all right, well, today's my day to be the nail, and then those days that I'm feeling great and smashing people, I'm like, yeah, hammer day,
Yeah. I think that's what it's taught me, just training has taught me about the long-term journey and the long-term relationship and the long-term resilience and strength that's built when you stick with it. Because I've been training a long time, not a crazy long time, but I've been training for 15 years now, and I still get discouraged, and then I still get inspired. That's what I sort of feel myself go between. And in competing, all the times I get discouraged. I'm like, what the hell am I doing still? And then I have those times where I'm super inspired and I'm like, this is why I'm doing this. And you have to be willing to go through that and face that. But then you develop so much resilience and strength and a greater joy in life because you understand that. So important. So thanks for sharing that. What would you say, particularly, is there any particular advice or wisdom you would share with young female fighters just starting out?
um, you can always say no. That's like a big thing for me. Yeah, is I grew up in a male dominated sport. I wrestled for 12 years. I never the sport wasn't where it is now, to where I got an opportunity to go with women. I just consistently went with boys and men, and that became it became regular for me in my life. And so when I went into MMA gyms and stuff like that, and I was paired with males, it didn't like affect me very much until I got better and scared people. Men get scared, and so do women, and you don't have to do anything you don't want to. You can always say no. You can always, always, always say no. And it's a great practice to say no. Being able to just be like, I'm uncomfortable with that. Not today. Uh, I I don't feel like we're the same way. I mean, being scared, being afraid is different than keeping yourself safe.
Yeah, really good distinction. That's huge. I have that too. I've had a number of women in my classes over the years that are like, I really try to carefully pair women up with the people that they roll with, like if there's only men, other men to roll with. I try to be really conscious of who I'm pairing them up with, like giving them a challenge, but not, putting them
In danger.
to train with someone who's not as considerate or as controlled
Yeah.
as they could be. And I have women have constantly thanked me for, like, wow, I never have people ask me that in the class, or like ask me who I want to roll with, or, pair me with these correct people, or think of that. And so I think that's a really important thing that I'd encourage, especially to obviously any women out there, speak up to your professor or to your coach about exactly what you're saying, Liz. And then also to professors or coaches out there, like, think, like, think about that stuff. Don't just like throw people with anyone. Like, think about who you're pairing the women with. Make
Yeah.
them have a good experience. Help them have a good experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Well, we've jammed for a little bit here. We're kind of winding down. Um, let's see. I think I covered all the questions I wanted to ask you.
Cool.
Yeah.
What's that pink book?
Over here,
Yeah, what's that say?
Van Gogh.
Oh, huh.
Yeah. I think that's Kelly's book. It's not mine. But yeah, we got a mixture of books up here. Have you ever read The Alchemist?
No. I'm reading a book called Alchemy right now, but it's a
Oh,
business.
funny.
I know, isn't that funny? It's a business book. It's like the dark arts of business and branding. So I'm reading that right now, which is really interesting. A lot of studies have gone into it with people try and make everything scientific, and we're emotional beings. We function on emotions, and not all science. People will just straight up deny science if it feels right, and that's
Right.
it's why does Red Bull taste like crap? But it's famous. It's one of the most well-known energy drinks in the world. Why does it taste bad? Why do people keep buying it if it tastes terrible? Marketing. Red Bull gives you wings.
Right.
So a promise for some sort of potentiality, some sort of potential change or something like that. And so I'm not very far into it right now, but it's such an interesting perspective for marketing and branding and things like that. Learning the emotions and psychology behind why we make the choices that we make, why we spend the money that we spend on the things that we spend.
Very cool. Well, I asked because I think you would love the book The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho.
How do you spell the last name?
C-O-E. Wait, let me think. I got it. These books right here. Yeah, I'm spacing on it. Coelho.
Okay.
Paulo, Phulo, and then his last name, Paulo Coelho, The Alchemist. It's a really well-known book. It's a really easy read. It's not
Okay.
super long, but it's all about like omens and your own personal life journey and self-discovery. And it's a really fun book too. It's a fictional story, but he provides all these amazing lessons within the book.
Cool.
And I highly recommend it to anyone. But it was just coming up for me to, even suggest that to you, especially where you're at, what you're talking about. It's just such a powerful and fun read.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah, the book I'm reading right now is like very real, like real life,
Yeah.
and a little scary because it's talking about psychology and all these other things. So having a nice little read would be great, and having them both have, like The Alchemist.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I think it would add some extra inspiration to.
Yeah. Another little omen.
Yeah, right. Right. Well, right on, Liz. Well, thanks for taking the time to jam with me this morning.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for inviting me. I had a good time.
Yeah, cool.
I
We're
look forward to training with you again. Woo, tomorrow. Woo.
yeah, right. Is that tomorrow? Today's tomorrow. Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for your time, Liz. Thanks for being an inspiration and teaching people why, what dedication is all about. And I think you're going to be inspiring a lot. Obviously, just living your life for the purpose of your joy, your passion, but also I think you're going to continue to inspire a lot more people along the way. So, anyone watching this, pay attention to Liz Titan Tracy.
Oh,
Listen to what she has to say. Watch how she beats people up, and you'll learn a lot.
thank you, Professor Andrew.
Yeah. Professor Liz, I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for watching this interview. I hope you feel uplifted and inspired by what was shared. Make sure you like and subscribe to my channel to make sure that you see all the other awesome videos that we have coming up.